Your husband didn't pick up your son from school today, the teacher told me over the phone. It was late afternoon. I was at home cleaning when my phone buzzed on the table. I wiped my hands on the rag and answered without thinking. Ma'am, this is Miss Paisley from Colin's school. I'm calling to let you know your husband didn't pick up your son today. He's been crying hard and had a panic attack. He's in the nurse's office, Paisley said, her voice shaky, trying to stay calm. Oh my God, Paisley, what do you mean? What happened to him? Is someone with him? I asked, breathless, pressing the phone to my ear. He's been asking for you. His voice keeps locking up. Can you come now? I'll stay with him until you get here, Paisley answered, steady but distressed. I'm on my way. Please stay with him, I begged, already standing up. I dropped everything, tossed the rag on the floor, and grabbed my purse in a rush. My keys shook in my hand as I got into the car. I started the engine and pulled out fast, my heart racing. On the way, I dialed my husband. Alexander, pick up, please, I pleaded, my voice cracking. Just the dry ring and silence. For the love of God, pick up, I repeated, almost crying from rage and fear. Nothing. Again and again, 3, 4, 5 attempts, and it felt like every second was gasoline on a fire. Panic took shape. Breathe, come on, breathe, I kept telling myself, but every red light seemed to mock me, pulling me farther from my boy. When I stopped in front of the gate, I didn't see anyone. I kept moving like the ground itself was pushing me forward. Where's my son? I asked a staff member, urgency bursting out of my mouth. Nurse's office in the back. This way. She pointed the direction, careful. I pushed the door open and saw Colin curled up on a cot, eyes red, chest rising and falling in shallow bursts, his fingers clenched in his t-shirt. Look at me, sweetheart. Here. Breathe with me, I whispered, guiding his breathing. I thought you weren't coming, Colin said in almost no voice, unsure. I'm here and I'm not letting go, I promised, trying to sound solid. He started calming down slowly, and when he finally managed to speak, the sentence came out broken, like it hurt from the inside. Dad said this morning he was going far away with someone who makes him happy. That maybe we'd never see him again. Colin whimpered, frightened. Where did he say he was going? I asked, my mouth going dry, my heart pounding. I asked, and he said he didn't know, that he needed to go. That Mom doesn't make him happy, Colin answered, ashamed and hurting. I went still, like the floor had opened up. I pulled him tight against me. The door creaked and Miss Paisley came in, trying to hide her tremble. I stayed with him the whole time. I'm sorry to call like that, but he froze up. He couldn't stop, she explained, still anxious. Thank you. I'm taking him home, I replied, relieved to see someone by his side. Of course. If you need me, I'm available by text, Paisley said, practical. Thank you for not letting go of his hand, I said, truly grateful. I grabbed his backpack and walked down the hallway with Colin clinging to my arm, as if the corridor were a river that could carry us off at any moment. Is Mom going to find Dad? Colin asked in a tiny voice, afraid. Mom's going to figure out what happened, and you're staying with me. That's what matters right now, I answered, determined. When we got home, I knocked on my neighbor's door and took a breath before she opened it. Miss Emily, can you watch him for a bit? I have to take care of something urgent, I asked, a mix of embarrassment and desperation. I can, of course. What happened? He looks scared, Emily asked, worried. I'll explain later. Please, if he asks about his dad, tell him I'm handling it, I pleaded carefully. Okay. Come here, honey. Let's put on a cartoon. I'll stay with him as long as you need, Emily said warmly, opening her arms. In the hallway, I tried calling Alexander one more time and heard only silence shove me against the wall. Then I dialed Raymond, a co-worker of Alexander's. Raymond, it's me, I said, trying to hold it together. I need to talk to you now. It's urgent. Easy. What happened? Raymond asked, his voice tense on the other end. It's about Alexander. I need to see you now, I said, stumbling over the words. I'm at home. Come over, he answered without hesitation. I hung up without another word and headed straight there. When he opened the door, he paled before he could even ask anything. He led me in, gestured at the couch, but I couldn't sit. Alexander didn't pick up our son. The teacher called. He told our boy this morning that he was leaving with another woman and that we might never see him again. Colin had a meltdown, I blurted, barely breathing. Maybe he didn't tell you, but I distanced myself from Alexander a while back, Raymond said, shoving his hands in his pockets, not meeting my eyes. He was doing a lot of messed up things. I should have told you sooner. Messed up how? Say it straight, I demanded, angry. He was cheating on you, I found out. And he'd talk about running off with his mistress. I thought it was bluster, bar talk. Raymond confessed, ashamed. You knew and kept quiet. Do you have any idea what it was like to hear that from my son's mouth? I snapped, my voice shaking. I screwed up. I know I did. I never wanted to see you like this. I should have warned you, but I thought he'd stop, that it was a phase. I was angry at him too, Raymond said, regretful. So that's it. After our son was born, everything started changing, I said, feeling the words get heavy. He turned distant overnight, left without saying where, came home cold, like we were two strangers sharing a roof. I thought it was exhaustion or fear of fatherhood, but now I get it. He was with someone else this whole time. I'm here. If you need anything, call me. I'll help, Raymond said softly, sincere, with a look that mixed regret and concern. I left Raymond's place on shaking legs, my head spinning. On the way, I tried to rehearse what I'd tell my son, but nothing felt enough to stitch up what had torn open that day. Emily opened the door with a tired smile. He napped on the couch for a bit, but woke up not long ago. He asked about you. Thank you, really, I said, scooping Colin into my arms. Let's go home, sweetie. Mommy's here now. Are you having dinner with me? He asked, rubbing his eyes. Of course I am, I said, trying to sound calm. We'll keep it simple tonight, just to be together. Back home, I set his backpack down, took off my coat, and headed straight to the kitchen while Colin drew at the table. When the smell of dinner started filling the air, I felt for an instant a false sense of normal, the kind that lasts right up until the next blow. Then a knock at the door made me go cold before I even got close. I dropped the spoon in the pot and wiped my hands on the rag. When I turned the knob, night seemed to collapse all at once. Two police officers stood on the other side, one holding a thick folder, both wearing that cool procedural look, a look that never belongs in a family home. Ma'am, are you the person responsible for this address? One officer asked, formal. I am, I said, trying to keep it together. You're being investigated for a financial scam tied to the company where your husband works. We need you to come with us, the officer said, flat. What do you mean, investigated? I didn't do anything. I don't even know what you're talking about, I shot back, stunned. We have a warrant to bring you in for questioning. It'll be quick, the officer explained, bureaucratic, not changing his tone. My son, he's with me. I can't leave him alone, I warned, heart in my throat. Without an immediate guardian, he goes with you. That's procedure, the officer said, matter of fact. I went to the living room, grabbed Colin's coat, and looked into his eyes, trying to hide the shake in me. You're coming with me, okay? Mommy has to straighten something out, and you'll be right by my side the whole time, I said, trying to sound firm. I'm scared, Colin whispered, unsure. Me too. But we're going together, I said gently. In the back seat of the squad car, with him curled up in my lap, panic gave way to a cold memory. A few weeks earlier, Alexander had asked for copies of my documents, saying it was for insurance. How could I have handed them over without asking anything? I muttered, resting my chin on my son's head. Where are we going? Colin asked, anxious. To a place where I'll explain that someone did something wrong using Mommy's name. Then we're going home, I said, trying to settle him. At the police station, they laid copies of documents on the table and slid them toward me. There were signatures with my name, contracts, withdrawals, everything pointing to me as the author. "Are these your signatures?" the officer asked, turning the paper slightly. "No, they're not. Someone used my info. I gave copies to my husband. He said it was for insurance. I didn't sign this," I said, outraged. "Can you confirm you know the people named here?" the officer asked, checking the pages. "I know Alexander. I've never heard of the others," I said, honest. "Procedure is to take your statement. It'll take a while, but you may be released while the investigation continues, depending on the duty officer," he explained, impassive. "May I make a call?" I asked, squeezing Colin's hand like an anchor. He nodded briefly, and I dialed Raymond with trembling fingers. "Pick up, please," I murmured. He answered on the third ring. "What happened? Where are you?" Raymond asked, out of breath. "At the station. They're saying I'm involved in a scam at Alexander's company. Raymond, I didn't do anything. They've got papers with my name, fake signatures. I'm here with Colin," I said fast, fighting back tears. "Stay calm. I'm coming right now. Don't say anything without someone there with you. I'm bringing a lawyer," he replied, firm. A few minutes later, the door swung open and Raymond rushed in with a man in a suit, someone who looked like he didn't waste time. "I'm here. This is Joshua. He's an attorney." "I asked him to come," Raymond said, avoiding my eyes for too long. "I'll take it from here, Mom," Joshua said in a steady, confident voice, sliding a slim case under his arm onto the table. All I could do was hold my son as Joshua spoke firmly, demanding to see documents, pointing out the absurdity of the signatures, asking them to record that I'd reported Alexander's misuse of my information. "I have to take care of something urgent." "I'll be right back," Raymond said quietly, touching my shoulder for a second. "Take care of what? Tell me," I pressed, anxious. "Give me an hour. I'm going after the source of this accusation," Raymond promised, determined. Joshua went in and out of rooms, asked for copies and stamps, and told 3 different people I wasn't spending the night there. When he returned, he snapped his folder shut. "Got it. You'll answer in freedom while they investigate." "It's not the end of the world. It's the right beginning. We're going to dismantle this," Joshua said, straight to the point. "Thank you. I just want to take my son home," I said, exhausted but relieved. "You will. If the police contact you, call me. Don't sign anything without me," Joshua repeated, professional. Outside, the air felt different. Still heavy, but at least breathable. Colin clung to me, shoving his face into my shirt like he wanted to erase the whole night. "I'm here," I whispered to him, trying to soothe. Raymond reappeared, sweating, his face tight like he'd been digging where he shouldn't. "I went to the company," he said, still catching his breath. "I wanted to understand how they pinned this on you. In the internal records, it's all set up to look like you pulled the scam. I talked to the boss, and he agreed to show us the cameras tomorrow." "So they really used me, used my name," I answered, wounded and furious. "They did. And more, there's activity outside of office hours. I haven't seen the footage yet, but I made sure they'll let us in," Raymond added, serious. "Do you believe me?" I asked, staring at him like I was placing my last chip. "I do. I should have stood up for you earlier. I'm here now. Call me if you need anything," he said, solid. "I don't have the strength to keep going today. I need to take Colin home and, at least for a few hours, gather what's left," I said, tired to the bone. "That's best," Raymond replied with a short nod. "I'll text you the time. Thank you for pushing and for bringing Joshua," I said from the heart. Joshua adjusted his tie, all business, like he'd already drawn up the next step. "I'm filing a formal request to preserve the footage and get copies. If anyone approaches you, call me. Save everything you have from Alexander, messages, document requests, anything," Joshua instructed, methodical. "I'll set it aside," I said, trying to memorize every detail of the day. "Great. We'll talk tomorrow," Joshua said, wrapping up. I hugged my son, And as we walked away, I felt his body relax a little. Like just moving away from the station was its own kind of healing. I had no answers, just a commitment to the truth and a clear plan to stop for the night. Tomorrow, we'd see the cameras. Tonight, I needed to take my son home and, for a few hours, pick up the pieces Alexander had tried to break. The night moved slowly, like time was afraid to go on. Colin slept holding on to me, and even though my body was spent, my mind wouldn't shut off. Every street noise made me open my eyes. Every memory dragged me back into the chaos. When daylight began to creep through the window, I got up before the alarm and dialed Raymond. "I can leave Colin with the neighbor after lunch and go in the afternoon," I said on the phone, resolved. "Okay," Raymond answered, clipped, tense. "I'll meet you at the entrance. I already told them we're going to the security office." "Thanks. I don't want to waste time. I need this to end," I said, gripping the phone. I knocked on my neighbor's door and exhaled when she opened it. "Emily, can you watch him again, please?" I asked, my eyes asking for permission as much as my words. "I'll watch him, of course," Emily said, kind, opening her arms for Colin. "Sweetie, come with me. We've got juice and a cartoon." "I'll be right back," I whispered to Colin, smoothing his hair. "Mummy's going to take care of something important." I left with my heart tight and found Raymond waiting near the front desk, hands in his pockets, face tired and focused. "Let's go straight in," Raymond said, "all business." "I don't have the breath for detours," I said, trying to match his quick pace. The person in charge of the camera room greeted us with a clenched jaw. "I'm the person responsible here," he said, introducing himself without offering a hand. "I'll stay with you the whole time. Understand this. Officially, you're still a suspect." "I understand, and I just want the truth." "Show me what you have," I said, not bothering to hide my anger. "Run footage from this date to that date," Raymond requested, firm, not tolerating fog, especially after hours. The video started rolling, and my stomach flipped when I saw Alexander coming in after hours with a woman at his side, walking the corridors with folders, taking and carrying documents under his arm. "Stop there," I said, pointing at the screen. "Back up 2 minutes, zoom in." "The framing doesn't catch the contents," the security guy said, working the controls. "You can only see their folders." "That's her," Raymond said, eyes down, voice a thread. "That's Alexander's mistress." "I need a copy of this segment. Can you give me that now?" I asked without looking away from the screen. "Procedure is complicated," the security lead said, rubbing the back of his neck. "If I hand this over without authorization, I'm the one who gets burned. What's complicated is a mother being accused with fake paperwork. Give me the copy. I'll own that I asked for it. You know what you're seeing," I shot back, feeling my throat scrape. I'll give it to you." He relented after weighing the risk. "But write down that it was at your request. Don't drag me into it." "I'll note it, and that you did the right thing," Raymond added, curt. I took the flash drive like it was a rope thrown into a river. "Thank you. Now I want to review the documents that are under my name," I said, facing Raymond beside me. "That's not possible," the boss said when we left the security room and went to administration. "Access is blocked until the investigation's closed. I'd stake my name on her. This check is necessary, the bare minimum," Raymond pushed back, leaning on the counter. "You know, if this leaks, my name's on the line too," the boss said, taking a breath. "Supervised access. You sit over there, and you don't make copies without authorization." "Deal," I said, heading to the table like running to a triage station. We opened folders, spreadsheets, checkout logs. With every page I turned, my name appeared hard and heavy, like a signature signed by someone absent from her own life. "Look at the dates," Raymond said, tapping a column with his finger. "This was after hours. And here too," I pointed, heart pounding. "Here's another signature of mine, outside business hours." "This doesn't add up," Raymond murmured, furrowing his brow and going quiet for a few seconds, staring at the Times. Then something lit up in him, the obvious thing everyone, including the company, had missed. "Wait," he said, straightening in his chair. "If these signatures happened after hours, we can cross-check with the internal cameras. See whether you were actually here at those minutes. If you weren't, game over." "You're right," I said, feeling blood circulate again. "Match the times. If I signed here, I had to be in the building. I wasn't." We practically ran back to the security room. "We need internal office footage for these exact minutes," Raymond said, showing the security lead the timesheet. When the images came up, I held my breath. Alexander was sitting at his own desk at the exact minutes those documents supposedly got my signature. He was texting, fiddling with an envelope, standing up, sitting down, but I wasn't there. "Look," I said, my voice finally steady. "I'm not there. I didn't go in, and these signatures are time-stamped for those minutes." "The system shows his computer was in use at that moment," the security guy explained, checking a side monitor. "I want copies of those clips too," I said, turning to the boss who had come up quietly. "I authorize a supervised export," the boss said slowly. Time sped up, and before we knew it, night had taken the building. We left exhausted with the flash drive and a timesheet that worked like a map. "Tomorrow morning we take this to the station. We go together," Raymond said, jaw clenched. "I'll text you when I leave home. Thank you for not backing down," I said, legs heavy. At home, I took a quick shower and went to pick up Colin from Emily's. "He was quiet," Emily said softly, handing my son back carefully. "Thank you for everything," I said, my voice tired. "You just need to rest. I'm right next door for anything," Emily replied, warm. "Did everything go okay?" Colin asked, half opening his eyes as he pressed his face against my neck. "It went better than before." "Mommy got evidence. We'll take care of the rest tomorrow," I whispered, hopeful. I tucked him in, straightened the covers, and stayed there until his breathing evened out. I went back to my room, turned off the light, and let my body drop into bed. But in the middle of the night, a crash ripped my sleep, loud, sharp, like the door had been kicked. My body reacted before my mind could catch up. I jumped out of bed, heart racing, tripping on the rug, feeling the air vanish from my chest. I ran to the entryway, and when I opened the door, the world seemed to stop. Alexander was there, standing in the dark with Colin sobbing, his arm locked in Alexander's grip while he tried to pull free. My boy was shaking, his face wet with tears. And Alexander's face was stone, his eyes cold, not a trace of humanity. "I know what you did. I'm not letting this happen. I'm taking the boy. Don't do anything," Alexander said, icy, not looking at my face. "Don't do this. Let's talk." "Think about our son, please," I begged, my legs weak. "Talk? You're trying to bury me. I won't just stand here." "Move," Alexander sneered, full of contempt. "He doesn't want to go with you like this. Let go of his arm. He's scared," I pleaded, looking at Colin, who was sobbing and trying to break free. "He'll be scared if you get in my way. I'll come back when it suits me," Alexander said, authoritarian, yanking our boy's arm hard. "Alexander, please don't do this to him. Look at me." "You're way over the line," I insisted, barely able to speak. He turned his back without a word and left with Colin. The door slammed. I stood frozen, my body heavy, my breath short, the echo of his threat pounding in my head. I didn't call the police. His words hammered me and locked my finger in place. I called Raymond, my hand shaking so hard I almost misdialed. "Talk to me," Raymond answered on the first ring, alert. "Alexander took Colin. He said he knows what I did, and he's taking our son." "I don't know what to do," I cried, gulping for air. "I'm coming to you. Stay where you are. Don't chase after them on your own. I'm on my way," Raymond said without thinking. Decisive. Minutes later, the doorbell rang, and I fell apart when I saw him. He held me by the shoulders, kept me on my feet, let me cry until I could form sentences. "We're bringing Colin back without putting him in danger," Raymond said firmly. still holding me up. "I think I know where Alexander might be." "Where? Tell me," I asked, wiping my face with my sleeve. "A secluded warehouse where we used to get together with the guys, barbecues, that kind of thing. He knows it well. He'll think no one will bother him there," Raymond explained, sure. "I'm calling Joshua. I can't be scared anymore. He's my son," I said, grabbing the phone again. "Make it quick, please," Raymond urged, tense, as I dialed. "Joshua, it's urgent. Alexander broke into my house and took Colin." "Raymond has a location in mind," I said as soon as the call connected. "I understand. I'm contacting the police right now. Text me the warehouse location. Don't do anything on your own," Joshua said, no fluff. "I won't do anything without you. But hurry, please," I begged, voice shaking. We left together. Raymond drove with steady hands, jaw locked. As we got close, we spotted the kind of discreet movement only people on alert notice. Cruisers positioned at a distance with their lights off, a few officers moving silently in the dark. The warehouse looked abandoned, wrapped in a heavy silence. "The dirt road ends at a tall gate. That's it," Raymond said, tracing the route under his breath. When we parked, an officer introduced himself briefly. "The place is going to be surrounded. You stay back," he instructed, practical. "He's with my son." "Please don't let him panic," I said, biting my lip until it almost bled. "It'll be okay. We go on the signal," the officer said, short, confident. The signal came fast. Others moved in. I held my breath on instinct and only let it out when I heard footsteps in the yard and a short command echo. "Drop it! Hands on your head!" an officer shouted, firm from inside. In seconds, I saw Alexander pinned to the concrete floor, his arms restrained by two officers. Before I could take in the whole scene, a sharp cry cut through. "Mom!" Colin screamed, terrified, running toward me. "I'm here! It's over! I'm here!" I said over and over, bending to catch him mid-air, feeling his chest soften against mine. "I was scared. He said he was taking me far away," Colin sobbed, clinging to my neck. "You're not going anywhere without me. Get in the car. Stay with me," I said, kissing the top of his head, protective. I buckled Colin into the back seat, then stepped back a couple of paces just to take it all in. Cuffs on Alexander's wrists, officers speaking in short sentences, the night giving us the bare minimum of order back. "That's it. Tonight you got your son back," Raymond said, dragging a hand down his face, tired. "I don't know how to thank you. I couldn't have done it alone," I said, legs shaking. "You're not alone anymore. We keep going together," Raymond replied, simple and sincere. At sunrise, I went back to the station with all the pieces in place. I turned in the video showing Alexander coming in after hours with his mistress, attached the internal footage catching him at his desk at the exact minutes those signatures appeared under my name, and reported what happened at the warehouse. The evidence was solid, cold, and indisputable. The detective listened quietly, leafing through the attachments with care, and when we were done, there was no doubt left. Alexander had used my documents to cover the scam, and when he realized I was close to exposing him, he tried to run off with our son. During my statement, everything clicked. It became clear what made Alexander move so fast. He found out I'd been at the office through an employee he paid to pass him intel about everything going on inside. That tip is what pushed him to break into my home that night. The employee was fired as soon as the company discovered his involvement, and management made a point of distancing itself from the case. A few days later, I received official confirmation. The investigation recognized the setup, and I was cleared of all accusations. When the paperwork wrapped up, Joshua called with the direct tone of someone who knows what weight news can carry. He said Alexander would face charges for fraud, forgery, and kidnapping. The woman with him wasn't found. I didn't ask who she was. I just wanted my son to have peace. Over time, the days found their shape again. I eased back into a routine with Colin, still waking up sometimes in the middle of the night, but always finding comfort in the sound of his breathing. Raymond stayed nearby, discreet. Between us, a clean friendship took root, born from his remorse for keeping quiet, and my choice not to carry a burden that was never mine, all by myself. Today, when I close the door and the quiet fills the house, I remember everything Alexander tried to destroy and what was left of me after the storm. I look at Colin sleeping peacefully and repeat to myself the truth that keeps me whole. I am not the character Alexander tried to write, and he, finally, is answering for what he did. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, give it a like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you in the next story.